I'm Ashton Addison from BlockWest Capital for InvestmentPitch Media and the Crypto Coin Show. And today on Blockchain Interviews, we have Reeve Collins, the CEO and co-founder of BLOCKv. Reeve, welcome to the show, and thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely, happy to be here.
I'm excited to dive into BLOCKv. There's so much functionality that can be tapped into NFTs, and we're so early on, and there's so much more to that as well. I would love for you to kick off the conversation with just a little bit of background about BLOCKv and some of the solutions that your team is bringing to the space.
Yeah, it's really interesting, especially now, 2021 at the tail end of this year with the boom of NFTs, because we started this company in 2015. We were truly the first platform in the industry to recognize the power of NFTs. And when we dove in, there wasn't even really a term NFTs. That wasn't a word. It wasn't On a side note, it's very interesting to see that they just announced NFT as one of a new addition to the dictionary, like the most popular word of this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I just saw that, but back in 2015, it wasn't even really a word. And so when we rolled out this concept of highly programmable digital goods, we actually coined our own term for it, which is called a Vatom, which was a virtual atom, because there wasn't a word. And so we wanted to take a token, like what the blockchain gave us then, which was tradable, ownable, scarce, right? Finite, and then add highly programmable characteristics to it to have a very engaging digital object, which everyone now knows is non-fungible tokens, which truly is the technical term for it. It just wasn't in the common nomenclature. And so now we have these NFTs, and our platform enables you to do extraordinary things with them. Just make them a much more engaging experience than even a lot of the ones that you see today that are simply just JPEGs in a wallet.
Definitely. Great background there. And you're right. With NFTs getting so popular and people outside of cryptocurrency hearing word of them, enough to get it into the dictionary, which is incredible. It's like a little green check for blockchain technology and the future moving forward. It seems a lot of people still don't fully understand the full potential of the functionality and the programmability of NFTs. They see CryptoPunks, they see profile picture art, and they're like, okay, NFTs are digital art, but it's not. That's just one thing that they could be. There's so much, and I know that the Vatoms that you guys are working on, they're much more dynamic, they're programmable. I'd love for you to go a little bit more into depth into what kind of use cases and how can you use these Vatoms besides just an NFT that is digital art.
Absolutely. And a lot of people ask, is it a bubble? Is this all speculation? What's driving the market? And a lot of it is, right? There's just a lot of hype around getting these digital collectibles. They're no different than baseball cards or any other collectible in the offline world, but they're digital. However, once you make something digital, it becomes programmable. And when something's programmable, it's obviously much more engaging than a physical good. And so these programmable goods can add a significant amount of value to your life in many ways. So the craze, right, is definitely the speculation on IP. Get a piece of art or something, ideally, it will go up in value. Now, that's just the very first use case. And so those may or may not hold their value, but what will hold their value is when all of the rest of the use cases open up. Tickets have been talked about a lot. Like when you imagine getting an event ticket, there's a before, during, and after experience. Today, you spend $200 to get a flat PDF. Now, you'll buy that ticket instead of the PDF. You can get a video welcoming you from the artist, and they can tell you why they're excited to tour in your city. And then when you show up, that ticket will come alive, and you can be entered in a drawing to go, to move your seat up like front row seats or to get certain concessions or a prize. And then after the show, you can win backstage, and then that will update with a video compilation of the show, right? So that ticket stub becomes a very valuable piece of history. And that's just one example on tickets. The beautiful thing about NFTs, and why I always state that the use case and the importance of NFTs can't be overstated, it's because as we look at where we're going right now, and especially with the advent, or not the advent, but the how popular that Metaverse is becoming, NFTs are going to be such a significant part of our life, because the only thing that we're going to have in all of these different metaverses, the real thing that's going to be persistent, is our identity. So in each different environment, they will know that it's us that showed up, and our wallet. And within that wallet, you're going to have a lot of digital goods. All of those digital goods are going to be NFTs. And when you think about why today is the metaverse so popular, it builds on all the technology from the past, but most importantly, the explosion in popularity and the education that people now have of how to utilize a digital wallet and the desire they have for digital goods. That is actually what has driven this massive spike in awareness and excitement about the metaverse, because now you'll have NFTs, and those NFTs that you carry in your wallet will go from one environment to the other, and you'll be able to use them in no matter what space that you're in. And so that's why they're really so valuable. It's not about art, it's about how you're going to move through those digital worlds and what your digital life is going to look like.
Definitely, and I think that's a great point, Reeve. Incorporating the metaverse and having a place where you can do commerce, you can do an exchange, you can go into virtual reality, obviously is going to bring a lot more functionality to these NFTs. And I'm curious on when you first started in 2015, NFTs weren't even really a term. VR was still very early on, and it still is right now, but metaverses weren't really being talked about. Did you foresee that functionality of those two combining, and that's really where the exchange is available to happen on a global scale?
Yeah, so I was really fortunate. There's a gentleman named Eric Boulier who's my partner in this, and he's the true visionary behind, he really had this concept of programmable digital goods. And he'd had it for a long time, and the technology was just there. And so we dove in together in 2015, and he foresaw a world that we have today. Like, he truly foresaw that we're just scratching the surface on today. But the world he foresaw was that persistent identity and a wallet filled with digital goods. And we wanted to be the technology provider and to be the standard for those digital goods. And so what we did was we ended up doing an ICO in 2017 and raising a significant amount of money. And we put all of that money into building out the most robust enterprise-grade smart NFT platform that there is. Our technology today is still leading the industry in features and functionalities and what our NFTs can do. But yes, back then we just saw this world where where how important these digital goods would be. Because if you go back to date, like from the advent of blockchain to around 2015, the only use case was currencies and financial-based instruments. And so we just saw this world where everything else would then be tokenized. And if they're tokenized, we might as well make them highly programmable. And so that's what we set out to do.
Very cool. And yeah, building that technology is going to be the foundation of getting it into commerce, getting into the marketplace. But of course, you need people to also use that technology. And I would love to know more about the developer ecosystem. Are you getting enterprises involved? How is this going from code to commerce?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. When we dove in and built the technology, the focus that we had was enterprise and large brands. How do we showcase these large brands? This new asset. This new asset is a token of engagement. So we wanted to go to brands and say, instead of banner ads and emails and all the ads that you're doing, wouldn't it be better if you provided your consumers something of value and an engaging object that they can own and buy, sell, and trade? And it can be a new way for you to communicate on a one-to-one basis with your fans. And so it was a difficult education because it was so new and so cutting edge, but that's what we really focused on, building these tools to make it easy for large brands to roll out campaigns. We've done probably over 100 campaigns for global brands. We're running one now in the UK or in all of Europe for PlayStation and Doritos and Pepsi and NBA, and in the States for Fjallraven, a large clothing company, and many, many more brands are rolling out. And professional bull riding right now, we just rolled out a whole line of collectible cards for professional bull riding, where you can get the card and you can get the rider and the bull, and combine them and create a different card. So it's really gamifying the interaction that fans can have with the brand's assets. And so for us, that's extremely valuable for brands. It enables them to stay ahead of the curve and not become irrelevant in this digital world, because a lot of these brands just have these brick and mortar experiences and they send out digital communications, but they're not in the digital world. So our goal is to usher them into that world through all these digital objects. And that's step one. is getting their consumers a wallet and filling that wallet with NFTs. Then step two is creating these metaverse environments for those brands where the consumers can come in and really experience that brand's history and all of its IP and interact and either listen to speeches or meet celebrities or just interact with the historical aspects of the brand, and then buy, sell, or trade all those digital objects in those environments.
Yeah, it's incredible to see the amount of companies that are coming in. All over Twitter, you're seeing these mainstream brands buying up the largest NFTs, moving into the metaverse. I'm sure you're very familiar with it, having partnered with all of them and working on their campaigns. And it seems like overall 2021, just for cryptocurrencies in general, has had the most institutional interest, and it continues to grow. But in the NFT space, do you still see it as like early for the large companies that are coming in, or is it the perfect time for all of these companies to be jumping on? And I know there are limitations. Obviously, the metaverse still needs to grow. The graphics could improve, the functionality could improve. There's still a long way to go. So where do you see that at right now at the end of 2021?
Yeah, it's a great question. And what's interesting about that is the technology is advancing so quickly that while the metaverse isn't quite there and isn't quite ready for the mass adoption, it's happening very, very quickly. The slow part is the brand adoption. So it takes a while for brands to kind of figure out their strategy, put it through all of the layers of bureaucracy within that brand, and then build it and execute and take it to market. And so I implore all of the brands to dive in right now, because it's going to take you a year to get it to approval and launch, and the technology will be there, right? So the technology is almost, you could roll out today with a really robust, amazing experience. Vans did a really cool Vans world in Roblox. So you can go in there. And what blows my mind is it's one of the many apps in the Roblox universe, but it's just as cool as like Tony Hawk's skate video game was when it came out, And so it was just kind of interesting to see how robust of an environment that you can create today. But anyways, so the brands are jumping on it. They are getting involved in these different environments. And I implore them all to dive in now, because by the time they really roll out it in a big way, the tech is going to be there. It's awesome. And we've gotten such good feedback, and all of the brands are putting in, it's huge initiatives for those brands on how do they stay relevant, how do they stay ahead of the curve. And so I'm happy that we're a part of those discussions.
Definitely. And you're right about getting started now, because that bureaucracy and all these brick and mortar businesses that take a year to get something out, and it seems that's part of the reason why DeFi has grown so quickly in being able to not have to go through all these levels of bureaucracy. It's sort of leveling the playing field. So it's going to be a super exciting year for 2022, I'm sure, from all aspects of cryptocurrencies, metaverses, and NFTs. I'd love to know a little bit more about what is the current focus right now with you and your team at BLOCKv. You did hint at a couple things. I'm guessing you're going to be continuing partnering with bigger brands, and maybe there's some other things up the sleeve as well.
Absolutely. The BLOCKv network, or the BLOCKv ecosystem, is somewhat complicated. Because when I talk about all of these campaigns that have run in the BLOCKv ecosystem, it's not necessarily from BLOCKv, the company. So we did an ICO and we created a token called V. And V is our network token that powers and enables us to issue NFTs. And so there's this foundation, a corporation in Switzerland that runs the BLOCKv technology. And then in that world, there's been a few more companies that have been built on top of that, mainly Vatom Inc., which was started by Eric Blier, who I mentioned earlier. And Vatom Inc. creates Vatoms and has gone really deep down the metaverse world with Spatial Web. Spatial Web is one of the most scalable and interactive environments to date, where you can experience the metaverse. And what's interesting about Spatial Web is that it was built natively with NFTs in mind, with our wallet system in there and with our highly programmable NFTs in there. And so that's Vatom Inc. that's built on top of BLOCKv. And I partnered with another gentleman, Tyler Mabius, for Smart Media Technologies. Smart Media Technologies is really focused on the brands. So we've done a lot of those brand campaigns where we go out, because we have a history of online advertising and media buying. So Smart Media Technologies is television media buying, all digital media buying, and social. And then we've incorporated the smart NFTs in that offering, like I discussed earlier, to really help the brands engage in a new way with their consumers. Mm-hmm. And in addition to that, there's a solutions company where we do professional services for bespoke projects, all on top of BLOCKv. So the campaigns that I'm mentioning today have come from that ecosystem. And the reason why it's so important to understand that is there are different commercial enterprises. However, they're all driven and powered by BLOCKv and driven by our V token, because we're all in this, right? In this world for companies that have done ICOs, the token price is very important, right? It's what fuels the network. And our token is utilized significantly by these companies, and that provides the buy side demand. And then we create a community around that of fans that really believe in the technology and where it's going. And the way they get involved is by participating in our token and our community.
Definitely. And thank you for all that information on all the family of companies. It definitely sounds like you have a lot going on right now. For the viewers that are looking to follow along with BLOCKv, get into the communities to talk about the token, look for more upcoming brand partnerships and whatever other updates you have coming, what's the best way for them to stay involved?
Yeah, really it's the Telegram group, and we'll be starting a Discord one soon, but mainly it's diving into Telegram and seeing what's been going on. And that's where we keep people up to date on the new novel use cases that we're rolling out for NFTs and all the campaigns that are hitting the market.
Sounds great, Reeve. I'll leave the link to the BLOCKv platform and the website and the Telegram as well in the description box below for the viewers. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on. All the best with everything your team's working on moving forward, and let's follow up in the near future.
Absolutely, I really appreciate it. Best of luck to you as well, and have a great one.